Welcome to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk to you about last night's fucking event, UFC Fight Night 201. 201. It was headlined by Jamal Hill knocking out Johnny Walker, and I'll go through the rest of the fucking card as we go down. Let me start at the top here. Jamal Hill knocking out Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, it's fucking hilarious to watch him win. To watch him fight. Win or lose. It's hilarious. And he's had two decisions that were largely duds. One 5-rounder against Thiago Santos, one 3-rounder against Nikita Krylov. Other than that, every fight's been a joy to watch. Somebody gets knocked half dead. We see a few near-death experiences, and then somebody gets knocked dead. And that's pretty much what happened here. Well, none of that drama, but somebody got knocked dead. And just Johnny Walker, man, he's exciting, win or lose. And Jamal Hill cracked him with a right hand, and he went falling down like something out of a goddamn, Ric Flair match or fucking Cirque du Soleil, whatever the fuck. He went up, and then he fucking came down, and it was beautiful. Great shot. Big win for Jamal Hill. Johnny Walker, tough loss. I hope they keep him around. But look, Jamal Hill is at this point, I want to say he's a contender in the light heavyweight division. He's beneath Paul Craig. You don't suffer a loss like that and not, be considered beneath a guy like that. Although, of course, time can change anything, but just the way he fights, Jamal Hill, he's got power. It's gotten him results against guys that are at least somewhat chinny, questionable chins. It shows up his power. He's also just a great range fighter. Although he was outgunned in the range department against Johnny Walker here, or he should have been if Johnny Walker was a normal fighter, but he's not. Johnny Walker did go with some of his abnormal shit. He had one flurry, I think a flying knee attempt or whatever. But other than that, it was Jamal Hill saying, hey, we're at boxing range. I can handle this. And before you know it, kaboom. And a lot of that, I think, just it's chins. Johnny Walker's got a weak chin. I said that before he was ever knocked out in the UFC. I hate people that have to brag. I said that. Well, I fucking did. And it's because I saw that one loss he had coming into the UFC, not long before he made it to the UFC, where he was knocked silly, knocked down like 4 times and then knocked out. And he's just, he has a weak chin. And Corey Anderson put him away, which, Corey Anderson has since knocked out Bader. But by and large, that's a big surprise. Corey Anderson knocking out the deadly striker. But look, Johnny Walker, he's a glass cannon. And now everybody's always focused on the glass. But you got to remember, he's a cannon. What he did to Justin Ledet and Khalil Roundtree and Misha Serkinov and even Ryan Spann. Those are big victories over guys that are all in the UFC today. Well, no, not all of them. Justin Ledet is out. But other than that, those are 3 fighters that are in the UFC. They may not be surging, but Johnny Walker's got some good victories. And those first 3 consecutive victories were just, they put him on the map instantly. Even I was thinking, what's going to happen when this guy fights Jones? But nevertheless, his chin wasn't trustworthy, and it's proven not to be trustworthy. He's been cracked a few times now. And this one, he was hit on the head. I guess you could say he's got a glass head or whatever. But it really reminded me of the Jacare Weidman knockout, too. It was like a mirror image of that. But Johnny Walker, he's bumped out of title contention. And he's probably bumped out of those main event slots and whatever. If he's got some UFC fights left, they'll be used to pad main cards of fight nights. And hopefully he wins more than he loses, because I'd like to see him stick around the UFC. Jamal Hill, I don't know where he goes from here. It's, I don't even know where Paul Craig is at and all these guys, Ankalaev and whoever. He might be fighting one of those Krylov types. I love to see him get a fight with a guy like Krylov or someone like that, or even Uzdemir. But he's a certain contender, and it was awesome to see him come through like this in front of his family and whatever. Really cool. Kyle Daukaus versus Jamie Pickett. That one went kind of the way I expected it to, but I didn't expect it to go down in round one. Just Kyle Daukaus, it took him a little bit to take over the fight, and from there, Jamie Pickett was just fucked. He was out-wrestled and out-grappled by a bigger wrestler, bigger grappler. And Kyle Daukaus has that submission skill. We know it was there outside the UFC, and it's been there in the UFC, I guess, if you count this Holland fight and whatever. But it's cool to see him get a win over a guy that's taken out some of the young bucks lately and pretty much staked his claim as a UFC fighter. And Kyle Daukaus submits him in round one like nobody has. Nobody's gone through Jamie Pickett like that. So, great win for Daukaus. Daukaus. I think I like the Daukaus, but somebody put Daukaus in my head. Anyway, he was going to fight Holland again. I'm kind of glad that fell through because Kevin Holland didn't need to make any more commitments to the weight class. But Kyle Daukaus is he's a legitimate UFC fighter. I still think he was a little shaken that first fight with Brendan Allen. But Brendan Allen is a very good fighter himself, obviously. And it's good to see these submission artists coming back. I'm always looking for a submission artist to watch and back. So, really cool victory for him. Sucks for Jamie Pickett, but he took the fight on short notice, and I'm sure that won't be forgotten from the UFC. Parker Porter beat Alan Bordeaux. Parker Porter stole this fight in the end, those last 2 minutes. Hit a clutch takedown, which he really had to work for, and then worked him over. Got full mount and was, not really pounding away, but he certainly stole that round. He was having a lot of trouble in round one, just being outstruck at range from a taller fighter. I don't even know how much taller he is, but generally Parker Porter's the shorter, more compact guy. And Parker Porter, he's tough. I expected him to wear down Bordeaux, especially the way Bordeaux folded in his last fight. But Bordeaux hung in tough, but he just didn't have the grappling to handle Parker Porter. Parker would stuff him up against the cage, and which, you're not actively winning the fight there, but you're inactively winning the fight there. And it's unfortunate, but that's how fighting goes. And he was sucking the life out of him. He got the better of him in round two. And round three, I thought he was losing until he took over in the last 2 minutes with that takedown. So, big win for Parker Porter. Puts him at 3 in a row now. He's a bona fide UFC fighter. Mr. Parker. Mr. Porter. Porker Porter. All right. Jim Miller, highlight of the fucking card. My guy, my favorite fighter in the division, and one of my favorite fighters of all time, Jim Miller, gets another knockout victory, his second in a row, which is incredible for the UFC. This guy, he's not known as a knockout artist. He's always had hands. In fact, anytime his hands are striking hurt somebody, it typically leads to a submission finish, like Clay Guida, Yancy Medeiros, whoever the fuck else, Craig White, no, not Craig White, Alex White. He's, Jim Miller is a submission artist, first and foremost, but he's been fighting, as we all know, in the UFC for 39 fights and however many years and whatever. He is a very good striker. And if you don't believe me, you just got to watch him fight guys like Nicholas Mota, guys that are really good strikers on the regional scene. And then they come into the UFC, and you got to fight somebody who's well-versed like Jim Miller. And that's what I love about him getting knockouts in his last 2 fights. It's like when Matt Serra got knockouts over GSP and Frank Trigg, probably his 2 biggest victories, and they came from his hands. And they came at the end of his career. This is Jim Miller, not that these are his biggest victories, not by a long shot, but it's cool to see him getting clean knockouts and, TKOs, but from standing on the feet at this point in his career against guys that are considered Not that they're considered better strikers, but they're at least considered strikers, where Jim Miller is not considered a striker. But Jim can strike. And he's got really sharp hands, really good kicks. Those low kicks, we've seen at the highest level where he kicked Dustin Poirier's legs apart. And, he can make that guy limp. He can certainly use those effectively against a UFC newcomer. And really cool performance. He was using those low leg kicks, and then in the end, round 2, maybe 2 minutes into the round, he hits him with that right hook, which Jim was lunging in and connecting on all those strikes, uppercuts and left hands and whatever, but this was a beautiful right hook where he leapt in and it just folded Nicholas Mota. His arm fell behind his back, which was really dangerous. Good thing he didn't break his arm or whatever, but he went limp is my point. And although he didn't go completely out, he was so fucked up. He had no way of getting back into that fight, especially with Jim Miller on top pounding him. Really cool victory, my favorite of the night. He didn't get a bonus for it, but it was sure bonus worthy. And it's great to see Jim Miller pretty much cementing the fact that he's going to be at UFC 300, because he's on a 2-fight winning streak. Even if he loses his next 5 fights, I still feel like they'd make an exception and go, okay, we got to have Miller on 300. But he's not going to lose his next 5 fights. I hope not anyway. And that just means he's going to get there. And it's not like he's necessarily going to have to fight 5 or 6 fights. That's just the pace that he's at right now. But I could see Jim Miller just stop fighting in a year and coming back for 300. He's a guy who'd rather stay active, but, really the only thing that's going to stop him from fighting at UFC 300 at this point is losses, bad losses. And he's looked good, his overall fighter health in the later portion of his career. And I really think, not that this is the best he's ever been, because he himself admitted that it isn't, but I still think he can beat guys that have beaten him. I'm interested in seeing how Donald Cerrone and Joe Lozon goes down, because Miller mentioned getting the winner of those two. I'd love to see Miller get his win back against Cerrone. Anyway, without going too much into it, because there's too much speculation to be done, it was Jim Miller's night. Nicholas Mota will have success in the UFC. I'm not saying he'll be a good UFC fighter, but he'll at least win one. And in the end, this was just a UFC Hall of Famer doing what he needed to do. This guy, he probably can submit just about anybody, but his hands are good enough to beat a lot of these fighters. And I love seeing it go down that way. Really cool. Joaquin Buckley versus Abdul Razak Al-Hasan. I thought, hey, got cats fighting here. Be nice. All right. I thought Al-Hasan won the fight, but it was razor thin, and Buckley was mixing it up well, certainly. I thought Al-Hasan was mixing it up well, to be honest, too, where he surprised me. Not that I don't think he's got grappling. I know he does, but hit those judo throws in the middle of the fight and the end of the fight and find success on top really impressed me. And I thought he won those rounds, but Joaquin Buckley is a very tough dude. I don't say I trust his chin as much, but his toughness overall is greater than the toughness of his chin. And he really impressed me surviving that 3rd round, because I could tell he was tired as fuck. And that's all he needed to do to give himself a shot at winning, which was a toss-up, but it ended up going his way. So you can't knock him for that. I might knock his cardio next time I'm looking at his fights. But overall, the fact that he survived, I think, bodes well for his cardio, despite the fact that he lost the 3rd round and was out-grappled. He was hurt against one of the heavier strikers, and he didn't stop fighting. Al-Hasan, again, I was really impressed with his performance. I thought he should have won, but, he's got a lot of holes as a fighter, and he needs to patch those up too. And, cardio, although it came through for him here, I think it's also what prevented him from really going for it early on. And some fighters need to face reality where they're better off pouring it all out in the first round. They are first round fighters like Vitor Belfort, Melvin Manhoef, whoever. And Abdul Razak Al-Hasan, I think, falls into that category. I think his cardio cost him from going forward early, and it was there for him late, but it was too little too late. Although, again, I thought he won the fight. But, I'm not going to knock him for that because it didn't go his way. I thought he fought Buckley the way he should have fought Buckley. Because Buckley is a really tough guy to catch, especially for a big, strong Abdul Razak Al-Hasan. Even though he's a smaller guy, he's much thicker and slower. But, in general, I think Al-Hasan should be going for it in round one. When he can close that distance and he can hurt somebody, he needs to take that chance because his chance of getting a finish when he hurts you is much greater than anybody else's chance of getting a finish when they hurt you. David Onama versus Gabriel Benitez. Onama got a beautiful KO in a fight that he was losing pretty clearly to Gabriel Benitez, who just looked like the superior striker. Those kicks were busting Onama up. He was tagging him with hands and kicks. Onama looked flustered, but part of striking that people don't like to focus on. They like to just talk about the technique and his body shots and whatever the fuck. Chin and power will always be a part of striking. That's why there's always room for brawlers and there's room for guys with iron chins, and that's how Mark Hunt can win the K1 Grand Prix. There's always going to be room for guys that are pure brawlers as long as they have the right attributes. And Gabriel Benitez just doesn't have a chin anymore. I mean, he does have a chin, but I expected it to fail him here, and it failed him. And this is not a UFC newcomer. This is a very promising guy with one fight in the UFC. Guy that I was really high on, and I bet on him despite being a favorite. But Gabriel Benitez is on his way out. And it just, that was the story of this fight, is this guy's a sharper striker, he's better, but his faculties can't keep him in there. And David Onama is much healthier as a fighter. He's a young, healthy fighter, and that was the difference in this fight. Also, the power. He's got enough power to create that moment for himself. So, big win for Onama. Really excited to see where he goes from here. And sucks for Gabriel Benitez. I still think he's got another fight in him in the UFC, but they may choose to cut him anyway. I don't know what they see with him anymore. Stephanie Edgar versus Jessica Rose Clark. This was awesome. Really awesome. Jessica Rose Clark, and a lot of people criticize her for getting in on the judoka, but I thought that was her way of winning this fight, was having a rough go of it in round one with the submissions and the submission offense, but largely winning this fight via grappling and just being a heavy top grappler with a wrestling advantage. That's what I expected from Jessica Rose Clark, and that's largely what I saw. Not that she had a lot of top. She was like riding Edgar, but Edgar hit her with a beautiful throw, and in that one moment on top of her, she was too much. She climbed up on her, what'd she do? She had like a Kimura, and she had that arm tied up and used it, kind of threatened with the arm just to get into the full mount. And then once she was in the mount and had the position, she went back to the arm completely, and that was that. It was over almost instantly. Fucking beautiful armbar from Stephanie Edgar. This is a girl who I've waited to see. I think I've bet on her to win via submission in round one in every fight but this one, and I regret it deeply. She's a really good grappler, and she's a tough girl. She's going to be tough to get out of there, and I'm excited to see where she goes next. Jessica Rose Clark, she's already staked her claim as a UFC fighter. Hopefully she's not injured from last night. She's still going to stick around, but this was a big loss for her. With a win here, she could have even been knocking on the door of a title shot. not instantly, but, I think this would have been 3 fights in a row for her. But anyway, a new contender is born, potentially. Stephanie Edgar looked really good. I thought she would lose by decision in this fight, and it was a pleasant surprise to see her get the armbar. Chaz Skelly retires with a knockout over Mark Striegel. This was fucking beautiful. Chaz Skelly is a really good fighter, really good scrambler and grappler. He's awkward as fuck, but he's been, like I say about every guy, he's been fighting for years and years and years, and he's got the experience and he's got the striking. And Mark Striegel's only been knocked out once against Said Nurmagomedov. Otherwise, he lost some submissions, a leg scissor choke, whatever the fuck that is, legs around the head. I expected Skelly to win a submission in round 2 or 3 here, but instead it was a striking that put him away. He hit, they clinched up briefly, and he hit Striegel with a beautiful knee in the clinch, and that dropped Striegel, and then from there it was just him pounding Striegel out, which didn't take long. But if you watch it again, he punches the ref in the face. The ref's going to stop it. Like, imagine I'm the ref about to lunge in and stop the fight. There's punches being rained down here. The ref jumps in and gets punched right in the chin. It torques his chin, and he goes down. He was going with the punch, so it's not like it was full force, but it was a short punch right to his chin. Could have knocked him out. And that was, who the fuck was that? That asshole with the cigarettes and the booze and whatever. I figured, drawing a blank here, but Gloria DePaula beat Deanna. Oh, let me jump on Skelly here for a second. Skelly, I think he's retired. If he did retire, he had a hell of a career. Slowed down with, there was a lot of horse shit, him trying to get a fight, especially with Jamal Emmers a few months ago. But Skelly, despite the bad luck, he was still a really good UFC fighter. He has a great record. I think this makes it like 8-3 or something like that. And I'm glad to see him go out with a beautiful victory like this. This was a great way to go out. He may not go out if they can put something together or whatever, but you got to make it worth it for him. I would think, I don't even know. I don't know if he's worthy of even a co-main event spot on a fight night event. But he said it would have to be something worth it for him to put his retirement on hold. Anyway, great way for him to go out. He's a classy dude. He was interviewed by Laura Sanko at the end, and Laura Sanko praised him, put him over, and in his last words on the UFC mic, he said, "I'll tell you what, it's been an honor to watch you come into your own, Laura Sanko." So really classy. I'm a Chaz Skelly fan. I fucking loved that he got the victory last night. Gloria DePaula beat Deanna Belbita. This was a very close fight. I thought Gloria DePaula won, but at the end I was like, I don't know. Belbita was, she opened the fight strong, outstriking DePaula, but then DePaula kind of took over. And it was really, I think, only round 2 for DePaula was clear. But rounds 1 and 3 were a bit of a toss-up. But I thought DePaula won overall, and I'm glad she got the decision. Belbita sucks. She's going to stick around, I think, just because the division needs it, and she's obviously worthy. Gloria DePaula, she doesn't have the best record, but it's the deceiving record. She only lost to UFC-level competition, and the fact that she got a win is good. Keep her around, and let's see what happens. Chad Anheliger takes out Jesse Strader. Beautiful third-round knockout in a very competitive fight. I want to go back and watch this fight almost just to see who I had winning. I feel like I had Strader winning 2 rounds, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I drank a lot last night. But anyway, Chad Anheliger, I think he got a third-round TKO over... who the fuck did he beat? The guy Tercios beat. Brad... Higstand or whatever. The guy Tercios beat in the Ultimate Fighter finale. And Chad Anheliger was the guy that beat him in the 3rd round. It's funny. These guys, I remember looking that up and when the Ultimate Fighter was going on, it's like you don't know who these guys are. This guy Chad Anheliger or whatever. And a few months later, he's in the UFC. Or, a year later at this point. But very cool. to see a third round, a last round finish in any fight, but especially in a competitive one. Jesse Strader was looking really good. I thought he was going to win the fight. At the moment he was knocked out, I thought he's going to be the better fighter in the next 2 minutes too. But was it meant to be? Sucks for him. I'm not sure if he'll be cut loose or not. That's 2 losses for him, both via KO. But he's clearly a capable fighter. He's just young, and he's fighting a lot of experienced veterans that are putting him away. And, I think if he was brought up differently, had a lot of more seasoning against lesser fighters, where he can find himself in danger and come out of it and survive and learn all the little tactics that we don't pay attention to, all the nuances to sound like a cocksucker, he would be in a much better spot in the UFC. But then again, there's probably guys that are in that spot that are looking at him with envy and saying, I'd love to be straighter. So, whatever. But Chad and Helger, 3rd round knockout. I want to see where he goes from here. I don't have the most faith in him as a fighter, a contender in the division, but I love seeing guys go on streaks, and especially when they earn every fucking one of them, every victory. And that's what he did last night. Jonathan Pierce takes out Christian Rodriguez. Jonathan Pierce worked Christian Rodriguez. This was largely dominant, I want to say, and a lot of good grappling. A lot of that like long control grappling like we saw with Skelly. And I actually, much like Skelly, I thought Pierce would get a finish in round 2 or 3. Wasn't meant to be. Christian Rodriguez actually, did he rock? I think he rocked Pierce in round 3. He rocked Pierce in round 3, but Pierce survived. Christian Rodriguez really impressed me. To be losing a fight like that and to not go away, and not only not go away, but create moments for yourself in the 3rd round really speaks highly of his cardio and his tenacity. So I thought that was a cool effort, but Jonathan Pierce was just too much. Big, strong, and experienced, and grappling was superior. So a great win for Jonathan Pierce. And then the opening fight of the night was Mario Batista taking out Jay Perrin. Perrin really impressed me. Perrin's a good striker. Just like I said about Christian Rodriguez, his composure in a losing effort, in a fight in which he should have jitters and be nervous and fall apart when he loses, or when he's losing. He didn't do that, Jay Perrin. And I was very impressed with him. Mario Batista, I don't want to say I expected a finish, because Jay Perrin I don't think has ever been finished. But Mario Batista is a killer, and he needed to fight hard for 15 minutes here. I think at some point he realized he's not going to be able to put Perrin away, and Mario Batista was there. He was gamed for 15 minutes of fighting, and I thought he was clearly the better guy. Although, like I said, Jay Perrin got over, as they say, just by he impressed me in a losing effort. So yeah, overall, good event. I did think Jim Miller was the highlight of the event. I wish he got a bonus. He didn't. The bonuses, I think, went to Hill, Edgar, Skelly, and Dawkins. I don't even know if there was a fight of the night. I don't know why the fuck I said this. I didn't look this shit up. I just saw it once last night and said, yeah, I'll cover that tomorrow. And listen to me, I'm covering this for who? Who the fuck is watching this? I gotta get my mother to watch this shit. Somebody watch this shit by accident and then tell other people. You gotta see it. The guy wears a Kangol hat and a bathrobe. He's got all these gimmicks. And he loves talking about MMA. That's all he gives a fuck about. Jim Miller and shit like that. Please. I'm desperate. I go to work. I lift boxes at a warehouse with my fucking neck. I want to stop doing that. And I need to get more than 1 view to stop doing that. I'm begging you. I'm going to end every video like this, just begging. My hands out. Please. Help. All right.